Good morning everyone. Welcome to my channel You and I. Today I am discussing you a project for ICSE board class 7 biodiversity project. It was project name is endangered species. So now I will start my project. I was creating my project in PowerPoint. Okay. So first page is like this, cover page. I am create some editing also, endangered species, create some pictures, maps, and presented by Pallavi Shah. You can write your name. Okay, it is the first page for the project endangered species. Project next page, it was a contents. Which type of topic has been presented in this project? First is what is endangered species. Next, some articles on endangered species. Third, some description of endangered animal, why they are endangered. And fourth, some description of endangered plant, why they are endangered. Graph and chart for increases level of endangered species, steps taken for protection of endangered species, and last is conclusion. So here is a contents page. What can I do? You can also do this because it is an attractive part of a project. Next page, I will discussing about the next page. Next page is what is endangered species. So here I write endangered species, any species that is at risk of extincting because of a sudden rapid decreases in its population or a loss of its critical habitat. Previously, any species of plant or animal that was threatened with extincted could be called an endangered species. Some example of endangered species: Asian elephant, Siberian tiger, rhino, dragon tree, etc. My next page is article on endangered species. So here some article I have added. It is the Endangered Species Act (ESA) was enacted by Congress in 1973. Under the ESA, the federal government has the responsibility to protect endangered species. Species that are likely to become extinct throughout all or a large portion of their range. Threatened species and critical habitat endangered species day, which falls on the third Friday in May each year, is a day to celebrate endangered species success story and learn about species still in dangers. The Ministry of Environmental Affairs also provide financial assistance to state government for undertaking recovery programs for saving critically endangered species. Budget is not allocated separately for this component. Presently 13 species have been prioritized for taking up such recovery programs, which is lion-tailed macaw, jaguar, Nilgiri, blue ribbon, El's deer, bonnet macaw, tiger, giant panda, Indian rhino, polar bear, Asian elephant, ghorial, sperm whale, and vulture. The periodic assessment carried out on respect of prioritized species, rhinoceros and lion, have indicated improvement in their population status. Now I add some animals and their habitat, why they are endangered. This point I can edit my slide by slide project. Some endangered animal. First is Asian elephant. Asian elephant, the biggest threat to Asian elephant is habitat loss and fragmentation. Asia is the most populous continent on earth where development and economic growth have led to enroachment into places where elephants live. This has led to an average of 70% of elephants being found outside protected areas today. Next is Siberian tiger. The main threats to the survival of Amur tiger are poaching, habitat loss, and illegal hunting of ungluteds, which are tiger's main prey because they increase access for poachers. Roads are another important threat to the Siberian tiger. Next animal is giant panda. Giant panda first became endangered in 1990 due to excessive poaching in the 80s and deforestation depleting their bamboo food source. A fickle species, bamboo can grow extensively in mountainous or barren lands but then dies in the winter. This forces giant pandas in those areas to relocate it for their food. And also I added some points. You can see this, and you also write this point in your projects, which is very helpful. Next is polar bear. Polar bears spend over 50% of their time hunting for food. A polar bear might catch only 1 or 2 out of 10 seals in hunts, depending on the time of year and other variables. Their diet mainly consists of range and breeded seals because they needed large amount of fat to survive. But because of ongoing and potential loss of their sea ice habitat resulting from climate change, the primary threats as polar bears and Arctic wild polar bears were listed as the threatened species in the US under the Endangered Species Act in May 2008. And my last animal is rhino. They are endangered because habitat loss as endemic in development, changes in grassland composition, logging and agricultural degrade and destroy wildlife habitats. Rhino population are declining. Now I am added some point with endangered animals was completed. Now I am added some point in endangered plants or endangered tree. Now I am start my next slide, some endangered plant species. My first plant species is bamboo tree or baobab tree. Baobab tree is like a bamboo tree. It's a small teeny structure of tree and very soft part of a tree is leaves. This tree is an usual life-giving tree. Okay, while it may only sprout leaves for 3 months of the year, it stores water in its broad and twisted trunk. The peoples of Madagascar, Africa and India would often build their homes among its roots because its roots are very strong to survive the dry season. And India is a very dry seasonal country, so we can use this tree also make the house or build the homes. Climate changes and overdevelopment have destroyed its natural habitats. My next species is monkey puzzle tree. Native to Chile, it seems odd that the national tree would be on endangered list, but development and loss of its natural habitat had harmed its wild growth. It was also collected as a popular year-round ornament too. Fortunately, it does grow well in conservation, but also is not a high priority endangered plant. And last is my next dragon tree. It is a very famous tree. These are the large and straight trees that form many people's images of African savanna. We look at this tree in savanna. Okay, the trees can grow for thousands of years and old as they can get. They are no match for several drought, climate change and development. They are steadily disappearing from the continent. Now I am show you a most endangered species by a chart. Okay, you can see this carefully so you can understand how the species are endangered and how much they are endangered day by day. Okay, the continent with the most endangered species chart it is. Okay. Next, I also create a chart increasing endangered species. So here a pie chart and a bar diagram also. The number of endangered species in rising in the left side, and the right side is pie chart where how many percent of species are endangered. Look at the maps, or look at the chart, so you can understand the how much species are endangered and how many percent of the species are endangered in day by day. You can add some chart or you can add some maps in your project, so your projects will be also be attractive. Last part is step taken for protection of endangered species. It is some law for protection of endangered species. Legal protection has been provided to wildlife against hunting and commercial exploitation under the provision of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Number second is protected area, national parks, sanctuaries, conservation reserve and community reserve covering important wildlife habitats have been created all over the country under the provision of the Wildlife Act 1972 to conserve wild animal and their habitat. Number third, the state or union territory government have been requested to strengthen the field formalities and incentive patrolizing in the around of protected area. Number 4, the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau has been set up a law for control of illegal trade in wildlife and its products. And number 5, strict vigilant in maintained by the officials of state departments of forest and wildlife. So here is some law or protection act which taken a protection of endangered species. It is a steps. You can add it also. And my last part is conclusion. Conclusion is we can save species without sacrificing people rights or forcing a few people to pay most habitat protection cost. In fact, deregulation may the only way to save many species. Endangered species advocates must work at two levels to protect wildlife and habitat. Now my project is finished. You can set your project like this. I think it is helpful to class 7 or class 6 ICSE board students who are create that kind of project. Thank you. এটা আমার ইউটিউবে করা ফার্স্ট একটা প্রজেক্ট, যেহেতু আমি বায়োলজির টিচার আর আমি বায়োলজির স্টুডেন্টও ছিলাম, তো দ্যাটস ওয়াই আমি চেষ্টা করব যে কিছু কিছু করে এরকম কাইন্ড অফ হেল্পফুল প্রজেক্ট আপনাদের জন্য শেয়ার করতে। যদি কিছু ভুল হয়ে থাকে তো ক্ষমা করে দেবেন, কারণ ফার্স্ট টাইম তো কিছু ভুল ত্রুটি থাকতেই পারে। যেহেতু আমি ফার্স্ট শিখছি এডিটিং করা, ফার্স্ট ইউটিউবকে হ্যান্ডেল করছি, তো আমার থেকে কিছু ভুল হতেই পারে। প্লিজ সাথে থাকুন এবং আমাকে উৎসাহ দিন যাতে আমি পরে আরও এরকম প্রজেক্ট আপনাদের জন্য ছাড়তে পারি, যাতে আপনাদের হেল্প হয় বা আপনাদের বাচ্চাদেরও হেল্প হয়।